Here's what we know about head coaching hires. First of all, number one, I've made this mistake. Don't judge the opening press conference too harshly. Some of these young guys get to the podium without a game plan. They're nervous. Number two is organizations need different things. The Bears need creativity. The Jags have to solve Trevor Lawrence. The Raiders need an adult. The Cowboys need a lot of things. It feels like Jerry Jones just wanted a puppet. And the third thing is hiring good coordinators as your head coach is much like the NFL draft. I had dinner with an NFL GM last night, and he said the draft ends up being, once you get past the first round, it's a 50-50 proposition. And that's why I thought Pete Carroll, Mike Vrabel, and Mike McCarthy were arguably the best hires. So if this morning I had to hand out a report card to all the teams, now the Saints interviewed Kellen Moore, Mike McCarthy, I don't know what they're going to do, but here's the grades I would hand out to the team so far. I think most teams have done pretty well. So Chicago with Ben Johnson, I'll give it an A- because he's never been a coach, so I can't give him an A to an A+. Stays in the division. This is an old school defensive-minded culture, and they went out and hired the young, most creative offensive guy from the same division. I think this is who they wanted. I think it's who Caleb Williams wanted. Reportedly, Caleb Williams went to his driveway and screamed when they hire him. I'll give him an A-. The Cowboys, Brian Schottenheimer feels absolutely uninspiring. It's a D. Friday late news dump is embarrassing. Again, the last time he was a hot coordinator was 12, 13, 14 years ago. Again, I think the Cowboys got caught flat-footed, and this is what it looks like. I would say Liam Cohen for the Jaguars, a B. Again, did wonders with Baker Mayfield, but Baker Mayfield also is pretty talented. Made Will Levis a little better. Again, not a great opening press conference. What's his vision? Listen, we know he's a smart offensive guy, so it's the right side of the ball, but so is Shane Steichen in Indy, and that hasn't worked great so far. I'll give it a B. Aaron Glenn, Jets hire another defensive coordinator. Don't love the staff I'm seeing put together so far. It may work. The players like him, but the players loved Antonio Pierce as an interim and a head coach for the Raiders. So what does that mean? I don't trust this organization upstairs. Aaron Glenn is fine. We'll see. I think it's actually a good roster. He's kind of tap dancing, walking on eggshells around the Aaron Rodgers thing. I can't give it better than a C. I think Mike Vrabel's an A. This, to me, was the best coach available on the market. He's got a winning record. He's a culture changer, familiarity with the team. Most of these coordinators are a 50-50 prop. But the guys that change cultures, the Harbaughs, the Vrabels, the Pete Carrolls, those guys don't really fail. They may not win a trophy, but they don't fail. I thought this was a solid A hire. And I think the Raiders with Pete Carroll, a lot of people dogged him for his age. I do not worry about Pete Carroll's age and vitality. I think he looks fantastic for his age. I don't know. It just, to me, they need an adult in the room. His last 2 years in Seattle, they had a winning record in the division with Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. Like, they were still winning football games. So there you go. There are my grades. Vrabel, Pete Carroll, A's, Ben Johnson, an A-. I think if I was the Saints, I would go Mike McCarthy, but he's sort of disappeared off the radar. Kellen Moore is interviewing for that job. We'll see how it goes. Kellen Moore feels like a B- higher. Okay, so listen, whenever you lose to the Chiefs, it's always the ref's fault. And fan is short for fanatic. And now it's Tuesday, and suddenly the articles are being more reasonable and acknowledging, yeah, our coaches sort of got worked on big plays. So one of the articles this morning points to 3 different things that cost them. I agree with all 3. Number one, so this is the 4th time Sean McDermott's had to go to the podium and answer for losing to the Chiefs, okay? 4th time. And each time we've got these, like, situational questions about the offense. So number one, why didn't they use James Cook in the final drive? Totally agree. Said it 6 times yesterday. 3.5 minutes left. Had a monster game. Mistake. The second thing the article says, the reliance on quarterback sneaks. I beat that puppy yesterday for 3 hours. Didn't like it. Hasselbeck didn't like it. Drew Brees didn't like it. Nobody liked it. But number 3 is an interesting one. The Bills, the article said, did not help themselves by chasing points early and trying 2-point conversions when they trailed 21-16. That's driven me crazy for years. And I always say this: save your special for the right moment. And the reason this one, I'm going to highlight the third one: stop chasing points. You don't go into a game with 9 magical plays. Even Andy Reid will admit you got a couple. And Andy's much more creative than Joe Brady or Sean McDermott. But the play that closed the game for Kansas City was that snake route to Samaje Perine. Only time he touched the ball. The whole game. This was the one time. And Andy's been doing this for years. He has been the better poker player. And great poker players know when to bluff and go all in. And whereas the Bills telegraphed their early plays and gave their 2-point conversion plays away, that handful of special plays, why are you showing them first half? Why are you going second quarter? You know the game's going to be close. What are you doing? The second thing is the Bears telegraphed their quarterback sneak. Apparently they had one play in the playbook, and they were going to go to one side every time in the playbook. So this is the nuance of great coaching. You telegraphed your 2-point conversion stuff early. You showed them this is the stuff we think works against you instead of holding it like a great poker player. And both Andy Reid and Spags saved their most unique calls: Spags corner blitz and Andy the Perine route. Touched the ball one time. They could have used that any point. They trailed at points. There was crisis moments in the game. Andy just kept that in his back pocket to the end. By the way, I don't consider Doug Peterson an all-time elite coach, but he knew when to call the Philly special. Doug's an offensive coach. Andy Reid's an offensive coach. I'm not anti-defensive coach. I think Vrabel and Pete Carroll, I gave them my 2 A's. I am not anti-defensive coach. But if you're trying to beat Mahomes and you have Josh Allen in your prime, you have got to be a better poker player. You have got to know when to bluff, got to know when to hold them, got to know when to fold them. And I think Andy Reid and Spags, you blame the refs. Once all the drama comes down and the emotion comes down, now we're being grown-ups. Now we're having the grown-up conversation. Now we're not blaming zebras. Now we're looking in a mirror. Nobody solves any problems pointing. Never been a problem solved pointing. It's called the mirror. You look into it. Spags, Andy Reid, y'all sat at a table on Sunday. Those were the 2 best poker players.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.